Hey guys, it's Dr. May. How are you? All right, hope you're doing good out there. Today is the beginning of a new module, Interpersonal Effectiveness. Okay, so we're going to do an intro today, and we're going to talk about, there it is, um, what interpersonal effectiveness skills are all about in general. And we're going to talk about some obstacles to interpersonal effectiveness, because obviously, it can be kind of challenging sometimes. All right, so the word interpersonal means between people, right? Intrapersonal would mean within myself. Okay, so this is about improving my relationship between me and other people. And why should we do this? Because we're social creatures, right? Everybody's interconnected and we need each other. And the more we could interrelate better with each other, the better our lives seem to get. And if you think about it, sometimes our emotions get in the way of our relationships, and our relationships become a big stressor which create more intense emotions. So if we improve our relationships with people, we end up being a lot happier. So it's really important to get better at our people skills, right? So that's what this module is going to be all about. All right, so in DBT, they generally talk about three main interpersonal effectiveness goals. And the first one, which is going to be described in the skill Dear Man, is really all about how to get our objectives met, or how do you get what you want. Okay, so these skills is not a guarantee for getting what you want, but it's interacting with people in such a way and asking for things in such a way that it'll increase our chances for getting our needs met. The give skill is about keeping good relationships, right? Like I said before, it's important to have good, positive people, supportive people in our life. And we want to make sure that we're relating to them in such a way that it increases the chances that they'll want to stay around, that they'll want to be with us, and that these relationships will last, right? Because that really feels good when people can be in our lives like that. Okay, and then fast is about self-respect. So I could all hear you asking, well, what does self-respect have to do with relationships? Isn't that just about yourself? Well, think about it, right? When you're respecting yourself more, you bring that more respected self to your relationship, and you let people know, what you're willing to take and what you're not willing to take from them, and you could set better limits with people, and you could express your needs better, and, you acknowledge the fact that you are a real person in this relationship and that you're worthy of being respected by others, right? And making certain decisions about how you treat yourself communicates respect to yourself, and then you're more willing to take it from others if you could do it with yourself too. All right, so that's a really great skill. And just to point out the dialectic, right, because we're in dialectical behavior therapy, the give and the fast are kind of like a dialectic, right? So taking care of a relationship versus taking care of ourselves. And they seem like the opposite, but they're both really important and kind of go together in a relationship. So that's the synthesis. Both need to be operating. Okay? And another thing to keep in mind is that while we're striving to have all three present, there's certain situations where we might have to prioritize getting our needs met, keeping a good relationship, or our self-respect. So we hate to have to make a choice, but sometimes we do have to make that choice. So for example, like if I'm trying to take back a defective product to a store, I might mostly focus on getting what I want, which is maybe my money back. And so I might, really be very intense about asking for what I want, not really caring if I keep a relationship with that clerk, because it's really important for me to get my money back, right? And maybe if I get a little angry or a little annoyed at it, it's not like the preferred way I like to interact with people, but I'll put that aside in order to get what I want, if that's really important to me. On the other hand, in certain relationships, it may not pay to, let's say, point out that somebody's wrong or to insist on getting your way, because you'd rather just keep a good relationship, right? Like if I want to get pizza and you want to get Chinese, I might just let my pizza idea go and just go with your Chinese, just because maybe it's nice for you to do what you like, and that helps us keep a good relationship, right? So it's maybe not all about me getting my needs met or my wants met all the time. All right, self-respect, sometimes I might prioritize that over a good relationship, right? If I say, you know what, you've been asking for too many things from me and I just don't have time right now. And I have to say no to your request. That's doing something that's right for me, but it might make the other person a little bit annoyed because they just want me to help them, right? So sometimes I have to prioritize my self-respect and my personal needs over the relationship, all right? So see how this works? Sometimes it depends on the situation, which one we prioritize, even though ideally we would like to incorporate all three the best we can. All right, so more about this in other videos. Let's keep going. So we're gonna talk about some challenges in interpersonal effectiveness, or basically like what gets in the way of being effective with people, okay? So that's the big question. So we're gonna tell you the answer, or I'm gonna tell you the answer, all right? Well, some different answers anyway. So one is negative self-talk, right? And you might have gotten this negative self-talk based on past experiences. And so you have certain beliefs and ideas about how things go with people or how things are with yourself. And these beliefs get in the way of you doing what you need to do for the getting your needs met, keeping good relationships, or keeping your self-respect, okay? So, it might prevent us from expressing our needs. Maybe we don't feel like we deserve it. Or maybe I feel like I'm supposed to do things myself, so I can't ask for help. Or I'm afraid to compliment people because it kind of takes some of my power away to give something nice to somebody else. Or maybe I tell myself negative things and it's hard for me to stand up for myself because I don't believe I'm worth it. Or it's hard for me to accept kindness from others because I also don't believe I'm worth it, right? So some of this stuff, putting ourselves down, get in the way of all these things and more, okay? So here's some examples of negative self-talk. I might have repeated it before, so if I did, I'm sorry. So let's say we'll go to the left. If I express my real needs and opinions, he'll get mad at me. And maybe that's happened before. And for some people in some relationships, that's kind of realistic. But you have to decide, is it a priority in that situation to do self-respect? Next one, I have to be a people pleaser because I can't stand it when people don't like me, right? When you're too invested in the keeping good relationships and other people's opinions, which we actually don't have much control over, we try to do everything right just so people like us, and sometimes we sell out on ourselves in the process. So we diminish our self-respect in order to get the good relationship, right? So it kind of gets in the way sometimes. All right, so upper right, I don't deserve to ask for what I want or need. So this is coming from a shame place, from a low self-esteem place, right? Or often guys may say this, I should be able to handle this myself. We have a very rugged, independent, individualistic kind of culture, and sometimes we feel like we should just be able to do it. Maybe I don't need help. I shouldn't have to go to therapy. I shouldn't have to ask for support, right? I'm strong, I should do it. But sometimes we can't do it ourselves. We do have to reach out, right? And bottom right, if I don't always put others first, that means I'm selfish. So I put a picture of a mom with some kids because sometimes that's a position a lot of moms get in, right? They feel like they have to take care of their kids' needs all the time. And in the process, they neglect their own needs. So they got to pump up the self-respect effectiveness to do a little bit of self-care, right? And self-care is never selfish, right? If you take care of yourself, you're going to be in a better place for all the people you interact with. It's like a ripple effect, like dropping a pebble in a pond, So the self-care you have makes you in a better place to help everybody, right? Or be a good friend to somebody, or a good wife, or a good husband, okay? All right, let's keep going. All right, so another thing that gets in the way of interpersonal effectiveness is lack of skill, right? So if you haven't learned these skills yet, or you grew up in a family that didn't really model very good interpersonal skills, or you hung out around a lot of people that didn't model very good skills, how are you supposed to know, right? You got to forgive yourself for not knowing. And even if you have been through these skills, or you have been through therapy or other kinds of things, there's certain situations that just happen to be really challenging for anybody. All right, so here's a few examples. So one, how to comfort someone who's terminally ill. That can be really hard, Usually we want to cheer people up and say, oh, hope you get better soon. And, hope you're feeling good. And hey, how's it go? It's hard talking to somebody knowing they're going to die, and what do you say? Sometimes that could be a real challenge. Okay, another one, how to properly apologize and make amends. Oh, right? Sometimes, should I even reach out to that person and say I'm sorry? Are they going to accept my apology? Like, what if they get mad at me? What do I say? How do I make it up for them? What if I can't make it up for them? Right? That can cause a lot of turmoil for people. All right, third example, how to express your feelings or ask someone to meet your needs. And if you're not used to doing this, it could be really hard. Even to put it into words could be really hard. Or the fear about how the other person might react or if they'll reject you if you do it could be a big challenge. Okay, so see what I mean? All right. All right, so emotions can get in the way, right? So chances are if you're in DBT, it's because you have difficulty managing your emotions, which is why we have all these skills. And if you are emotional, it spills into your interpersonal relationships, okay? And it's very difficult to be effective with people. So for example, if you have a lot of anxiety, it's very difficult to do the dear man skill, which is about asking for what you want. You might be so afraid of saying it right or people's reactions or hearing no that you may not know what to say, or you may just not say anything at all. Okay. Another example, if you have a problem with anger, chances are you might spill it out on other people. Maybe you'll yell at people or be nasty to them, and now you have to backpedal and apologize, or it creates a rift in the relationship. You know, you might go between making up with them and having conflict and being mad. And when you're blaming and being judgmental of people, you know, they might take it hard, and now they don't want to hang out with you, but you need them and you love them anyway. Lots of stuff, right? Okay, and finally, if you have issues with shame, which I know a lot of people do, it's hard to feel like you could deserve the help and kindness from others. And it's hard to do self-care for yourself, like for the FAST skill for self-respect effectiveness. So see how all these things kind of interconnect. Emotions and interpersonal go hand in hand. So important to work on all this stuff. All right, next thing that could get in the way of interpersonal relationships and effectiveness: indecision and ambivalence. All right, big words, just in case, we'll clarify. Indecision is when you can't make up your mind about what you really want from the person or the relationship. And ambivalence is when you have mixed feelings about what you want for the person or the relationship. All right, so slightly different ways of saying the same thing. So let's say in this example, right? Should I stay or should I go? Like the song says. Maybe you're in a relationship with somebody and you know it's not going the greatest, and you're kind of between, should I stay with that person? Should I try to make the relationship work? Should I put the effort in? Or should I just pull away and forget this whole thing? And you might cycle back and forth between these things like multiple times during a day. And depending on your mood and what you're feeling about the relationship might depend on the kind of message you're giving. But it also could get very confusing for the other person, because meanwhile, they don't know where you're at or they don't know what you're thinking, right? So all this stuff can get in the way of being clear about how you're communicating to that person and the relationship. Okay, even your body language could be confusing, right? Like it says here. Okay, all right, so next one. The environment is too powerful. Okay, that doesn't mean like the trees are gonna come to attack you, okay? This basically means that like sometimes, no matter how skillful you try to be, some people are just not gonna respond the way you're hoping they're gonna respond, right? So this is part of the radical acceptance here where, you know, there's only so much you could do to control other people. You really don't have a whole lot of control over other people, quite frankly. So for example, like if you're trying to use a dear man or express your needs or wants, some people really may not like that, or they might get nasty with you or start getting judgmental or invalidating. And you may not be able to help that person be different. That may just be how they typically respond, and that's just who they are, right? And you may not be able to change their mind. In some cases, they might even actually get abusive to you, verbally or physically abusive, because you're not acting the way they want you to act. And so in their frustration, they're going to be mad at you if you show some independence of your thinking or requests. All right, so that's an environment is too powerful thing. Another one is kind of an unrequited love situation where even if you're really kind to a person and you do everything right and you're doing your give skill and you're trying to keep a good relationship and you're doing all the stuff that you think you should do, you can't control whether the person loves you back. You know, they might just, you know, not be into you, unfortunately. And there's only so much control you have over the other person's preferences or opinions. So that's environment's too powerful. Another one, if you happen to be in the hospital, which some of you might, even if you go to the team, let's say, and you make a really nice dear man request for more privileges or for discharge or for some special permitted item, the team might still say no. okay? And it doesn't mean you didn't ask nicely or ask effectively. Sometimes they just say no for various reasons. And this could happen the same way in dealing with a business or a store, you know, talking about the money back thing. Like maybe you tried to take something back and it's beyond 60 days and they say, well, after 60 days, we just don't give money back. And you could ask really, really sweetly, really nice, but they just won't give you your money back. Okay, sometimes the rules get in the way and people are following the rules and that's just it. Okay, so see how that works? All right, so that's the end of the interpersonal effectiveness intro video. Okay, so I hope some of this makes sense to you. Stay tuned for more videos on interpersonal effectiveness for greater detail on how we could do this all. Okay, all right, so have a good day, you guys, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye.